Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to start this video off with pictures of Tigger and Toodles sitting and relaxing in the apartment. All is well here. We have a lot to cover again today. It's just a never-ending drama saga, I'm telling you. We've got the real royals. We have Andrew. There's a lot going on with Andrew all of a sudden. I'm not sure what's happening. So let's just jump in with both feet and get there, shall we? Let's go. Since it's her birthday, we're going to start off with some pictures of Sophie. And of course, there's one of her and Edward that were taken and shared by OK Magazine. She looks absolutely phenomenal. And with that, do you guys remember that yesterday I showed you that she went to the newly refurbished Ascot Hospital and she met the staff and she walked around and looked at all the theater, the surgical theater and everything that she had to do? Well, when she was done with that, she went to a school in Surrey that was celebrating their 60th anniversary, and they were opening a new STEAM lab, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. At least that's what it is in the United States. They did some dancing with her. They did some food technology with her by making cupcakes. And in case you didn't just notice this little detail, the apron that she had on was personalized with her name on it, which I think was a really sweet little touch. They did a computer lab with her as well. One of the girls there got to show, what they do there. I like STEAM. My youngest son went to a STEAM program here. Anyway, at the end, they went up on the stage and handed her a cake for her birthday, which I think is really sweet, as well as some beautiful flowers. I don't know about you guys, but I love seeing her again out and about. Now, one of the other things she did was planted a tree for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, part of the green canopy, Fabulous. Next up, talking about Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, he is going to give an award created in his name at the Production Guild of Great Britain's inaugural talent show next week. I look forward to seeing that. Next up, Prince William, it's being reported, is going to meet the 2022 Earthshot Prize finalists in person for the first time when he goes to the Earthshot Prize Fellowship Retreat in Windsor. That is going to take place on January 26th. Now, William also went on a Zoom call with those people affected by the serious flooding in Australia. All right, here we go. King Charles, he took the royal train and went for a series of events in Greater Manchester with Queen Consort Camilla today. And yes, that is Johnny on the right. And once again, the people who don't like Charles have started right out. This article came out saying that, now look what it says, this visit cost £20,000 despite the vow from the king to cut down. Just a few little facts here. The royal train has been in service since 1842. Apparently, the royal family enjoys the train, and it runs on biofuel. In the next paragraph, it clearly says, we don't know how much the journey cost on today's train, but the palace told us expenses will be accounted for. Then why would you put a headline like that unless you're trying to get people to dislike Charles? So the first stop for King Charles was at the Kellogg Factory in Trafford, where he's discussing the company's sustainable packaging. He's touring the plant, and when he got there, he was greeted by the factory director, Tim McKnight. I thought this was cute. A number of employees from local businesses went there before the king got there, and they had masks. How cute is that? So the employees were showing the king how the cereals can be used as part of a healthy, diet. And of course, Charles goes, wow, it smells really good in here. Yeah, I bet it did. They had some talks about how the cereal can be sweet without all that sugar. The king says, do you just reduce the sugar until they say stop? And then they talked about how Kellogg's was helping the community with their breakfast club schemes. Very nice. He met with apprentices, and then he talked to people about how all those cereals like Rice Krispies and Cocoa Pops and stuff, how they're made. Just a little information for you in case you're unaware. The reason the king is there is to mark the 100 years of Kellogg in the UK. Apparently, it's the largest cereal factory in Europe and the biggest cornflake factory in the world. And they've been a holder of the royal warrant since the time of George VI. Apparently, cereal was taken to Buckingham Palace in a small van that was named Genevieve. Personally, I find the fact that they use the packaging is like recycled and recyclable. If you have a compost, if it's the recycled stuff, you can throw it right in there. I think that's pretty cool myself. All right, moving on. The king also did the stuff that he usually does, and he unveiled a fabulous plaque in the culinary center that they have there. I wouldn't mind touring that place myself. I find that very interesting. All right, now let's move on to the next thing. Now, while Charles was doing that, Camilla met with some people that, love of books. They brought some pupils who created stories and how they love discovering new books. And a brand new bookshelf was unveiled by the Queen Consort. The books were donated by a group working with the Literary Trust to help encourage a love of reading. Way to go. They finished up the day in Greater Manchester. It looks like they had a great time. Good for them. After leaving the Kellogg Factory, King Charles and Queen Camilla headed towards the Bolton Town Hall. I hope I said that correctly. There were a lot of crowds waiting for them. People were very, very excited and happy to see them. While they were in the town hall, they were shown an piece of artwork that goes by the name of Going to the Match. And this was inspired by Bolton Wanderers Soccer Club's Burned Park Playground. Then they went to meet representatives from different groups, from the town's interfaith council, to Asian elders, to their holiday activities and food programs, which helps support low-income families. Moving on, let's go back to Charles's coronation. It's being revealed it's going to be half the size of his mother's. His mother had over 8,000 people there. The king apparently plans on only inviting 3,000 people. So they're going to be putting extra chairs around to try to accommodate that many. All right, here we go. Andrew wants his HRH titles returned. Now, he understands he won't get his military titles back. He understands he won't be doing the royal patronages. He understands that, he's not going to be working for the firm, but he wants his HRH back and says that he wants to do some business ventures. I guess he's been watching Harry and Meghan make money off their titles, and I guess he wants to do it again. It's being reported that Andrew is completely perplexed as to why he cannot use the HRH, especially since he says he didn't do anything wrong. And he's saying that, innocent until proven guilty. Now, Charles is resisting stirring up trouble by formally announcing any change in Andrew's status. It's more likely he's just going to start using it again in a low-key way just to test the waters, they said, should Charles agree to that. And he also said that the late Queen had previously ordered Andrew not to use the titles after he was stripped of the remaining patronages in 2022. We all know what happened. Just as an FYI, you should know that Andrew remains a Royal Knight of the Garter and a Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, even though everything else was removed. He wants his Prince of the Blood status so he can go to events with the family and that he can, how'd they put it? For him is his status. You know what I'm saying? He wants the status. All right, we'll see what happens. Moving on. All right, speaking next, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice are back to work just days after Harry's book release. We know that Harry talked about Andrew. I don't think either of the daughters at this point are really talking to him or Meghan anymore, but that tends to happen when you do that sort of thing. Moving on. Next up, I told you guys that Harry was the butt of a joke. Now Wayback Burgers is making fun of him. Look at this ad. Stop by today to try our Royal Silencer, a burger designed to silence the urge to spill family gossip to media outlets, book publishers, and documentarians alike. The Royal Silencer breaks all Wayback Burgers rules by including a spare patty for the world's most notable spare. All right. You know, this next article really upsets me because Harry's looking for compassion. Yeah, compassion from the same family he's been trashing at every turn. He wrote, all these struggles that Harry details in his book. He has so much childhood trauma and repressed emotions where we can all empathize. No, I don't think so. Let me make it clear that I did used to empathize with him until I realized what a spoiled brat he was. He wrote, an acknowledgement from the family in private or public that could have such an impact on their reconciliation. And you're missing the point. They can't trust him. And then the author writes, it's the same way the other way around. Harry should realize that the palace sees things differently. This author has no clue. Harry doesn't think he's wrong. That's the problem. Now, let me just say, Harry is living in a bubble because his popularity is plummeting. I don't think he has a clue. I think all the people around him are just telling him what he wants to hear. And I'm going to say that because we all know Lisa Marie Presley just died, Elvis's daughter, and Harry went in and was totally unimpressed by Elvis Presley's house. Apparently, he went on a tour and he made some nasty comments about the way it was decorated, saying it must have been done by somebody on acid. Yeah, that would... pot, kettle, black. All right, here we go. Omid Scobie, Harry's lapdog, has been thrown to the wolves. He wrote about Meghan doing training, kidnapping training, and what to do if you're in a pursuit and, all of this kind of stuff. And Harry came out and said in his book that was all complete nonsense. We all know about Finding Freedom. Meghan helped him write it. Well, now he's found himself in a tight spot. I agree with this Twitter user. Give us the name of the said palace official and his role in the palace, seeing that Harry and Meghan had more than passing involvement in the book. And are you to make us believe that they didn't even peruse the draft before it was published? And that comment was in response to what Omid wrote here, that his story about the security training was debunked in 2021 during her male court case came as a surprise because it was a palace official who confirmed it to my co-author and I. But Harry writes it was nonsense that he wished was true. To that same tweet, this Twitter user wrote, is that the court case where you claimed Meghan and Harry didn't help you write the book when they did? Omid, you've been exposed as a liar so many times your gaslighting doesn't work anymore. I completely agree with that, by the way. Now, of course, Omid then put this up saying that talk of killing isn't for him, but in 2013, the papers called Harry hero, prince, action man when he spoke about killing Taliban insurgents. But now that he's doing it, he's being attacked. Yes, but you know what the difference is? He didn't call them chess pieces and he didn't give specific numbers. Big difference. It's the same thing when Omid was talking about context when there were leaks. It says the tiny snippets don't do the text justice. The snippet was that he was knocking people off like chess pieces and it gave a kill count. The context doesn't matter at that point. But I believe that according to Taz said it right. Do you guys remember the other day when I showed you how the lady from Black Lives Matter was with Piers Morgan and she said the narrative has changed because they're trying to change the trajectory of what's happening? Well, that's exactly what Taz is saying here. It's perfect. This reason the story has changed is because their agenda has changed. All right. Last story here, or parts of it, was that Prince Harry's memoir, The Spare, was knocked off the charts in Australia by a children's book from the Barefoot Investor. It was a book about money for children. That's what knocked Harry's book off the list in Australia, if you can believe that. Now, let me tell you something. Penguin Random House is putting up things all over going, it's the best-selling #1 book. It's the best of all time, blah, blah, blah. But actually, it sold 629,300 hardcover copies in its first week, well short of the 800 and some odd numbers that Barack Obama's book sold. So it is not the best-selling book of all time. Absolutely not. Remember I told you guys, they had this book on sale, half price before it even came out. They were giving it away for free on Audible. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about the numbers, and they're fudging the numbers. Now, a blind item came out. You guys know how I feel about those. And this says that Penguin Random House did an old record company trick. It shipped out 1 million copies just to say it was a million seller for week 1. Thing is, it fell 40% short of that goal, and sales have fallen off a cliff, which means they are going to have a lot of returns from the booksellers. Just like Spotify did the same thing, saying she had the #1 podcast, but when you put it up against Joe Rogan's numbers, she was not the #1. Now Netflix is claiming she has the second most successful documentary. They're just going to tell you this stuff over and over because they want you to think that they're succeeding when they're not. So, for those of you who like Johnny, I snapped this picture off of one of the videos that we got. He's looking as dapper and as handsome as ever. Love it, and I'm glad he went with them today. All right, you guys. So we're finishing up with this picture of Finn, which I took last night. I snuck into the bedroom. I went to go to bed, and there he was, all snuggled under the covers with his back against my husband's back. That's how they sleep. And then he flips over in the middle of the night, and then he puts his back to me for the rest of the night. It's crazy. Anyway, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell to double check if you've already hit the button and make sure that you're still subscribed. Don't forget to leave those comments below. You know I'm reading them. Don't forget to go up into the description box and get the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. For those of you who've donated through my coffee fund, we're still doing the fundraiser for the month of January. If you've donated through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.